This is Laurel from the Dabbling Hook. How's it going? Happy Friday! All right, first you're gonna hear coughing because Minion 1 is back there pretending to be sick. There he goes. Pretending. No, he's had a weird cough for the last few days. Stayed home yesterday, but went to school today. What are we doing? I'm going to be showing just a few finished items, a couple of whips, a couple of acquisitions, and a shout out or two. Okay. Oh, and I will just talk briefly about my last craft fair. First, what have I finished? One of the reasons I'm doing the video today is I had a custom order to do a turtle to go with a quilt. So this is for somebody who I'd done a sun hat for 2 years ago, I think. And she reached out, and I can't remember if it's a daughter or some family member has a baby or is going to have a baby, and the quilt was made by the grandmother, and she wanted a turtle to match in the color scheme of the quilt. So, of course, of all the yarn that I have, I don't have that color or anything in that color range. I could have gotten away with it, but I didn't want to use multiple yarns. So I went to the yarn store, of course. I sent her first a few examples of turtles, and she picked, I think I sent 6 or 7 pictures to her, and she picked 3 of them that she liked, and then I just chose one of those to make. So I went to, where did I go first? I went to Joann's first, and I bought a red heart yarn, one of the variegated yarns. And then, that was at my lunchtime. And then on my way home, I stopped at AC Moore, of course. And I had a couple of yarns in my hand, and then I happened to spot this. So I'll put in a picture of what the quilt looks like. Is it a quilt? It's a little baby blanket, a quilted baby blanket. So I'll put in a picture of that. So, like I said, I had a couple of yarns trying to match the colors, trying to decide which ones to pick. And then I actually had this one, but in the big skein form, and it was almost a spotty, not quite speckled look to it. But I wasn't really keen on it. And then I saw this in their layers. So that worked out great. I had to do a little yarn management where I used what was in the middle, then I had to pull some out to get to the next bit of it. So what I ended up doing for the turtle that I chose, I'll put a picture of that in here. So the one that I chose, I first tested out the pattern to see how big it would be because there were no measurements and I wasn't quite sure. And this is pretty much in worsted weight. Isn't that adorable? Look at that smile. Now the pattern didn't have a smile, but I like putting smiles on mine. So I made this one to start off. And it's quite small, fits in the palm, it's just a little bigger than the palm of the hand. And this is the Karen Big Cakes in, I think it's Mint Fudge is the colorway. And this cake of yarn is going far. I've made so many things out of it. So I used that for the head and the flippers, feet, arms, the feet. And then this is one of the AC Moore, I forget what it's called. And it's too far away to pick up, but it's the ribbon type yarn that I would never recommend to anyone really for amigurumi because it is so splitty. It's almost like a net material in the form of a ribbon. So it's very snaggy and not splitty, more snaggy than anything. So I use that, and I used it in earlier this year. I'd used it in the superhero dolls that I had done, and I like the way it works up. But it's not for beginners to work with, that's for sure. So that was the first one that I made. So once and I made that before I decided on the yarn, just to test it out. So once I got that yarn, I decided to make this one. And this parfait yarn, I've used it before. I made a cow and a duck out of it, and it's almost like a beigey brown color and a yellow color that I have still. And that was in the big skein, not in this cake form. So this is the final version of what I did for her to go with the baby blanket. And I have to drop this off tonight around 6:30, so I have to meet up to drop it off. So that's that. The other thing that I finished was, I don't know why I decided to make this. I don't know what prompted it at all, but look at that. It's just a tiny sock that could be a little ornament. Actually, you know who? I was watching The Inspired Professor. So this is her her pattern, and she is, I think her name is Caroline, and she is the oh my gosh, I can't believe her name is escaping me. I just watched her podcast too. Crochet Cakes. Crochet Cakes' mother. They used to podcast together until, and her name is escaping me. It'll pop back in. Until the daughter, Crochet Cakes, moved to Florida with her now fiance. But I was watching her mom's podcast, and she had these on these tiny sock blockers, and she had it as a necklace. So I've always screwed up socks. Even when I've made a few the big Christmas socks, I always screw up the heel. So I decided to give this a try. So it's a free pattern on her her blog. And this yarn is actually, I bought this in 2015, I think. And it's by Spun Right Round. And I think that was one of my first forays into indie dye yarn. I think it was 2015. Or was it 2013? One of them. And I love the colors, the spot of colors so much that I decided to buy it, not knowing that it's sock weight. So it's been sitting caked up there forever, or for as long as I bought it. So I finally decided to make something out of it. But again, I messed up the heel, but I was able to make it work to look like a heel. So I think I'm going to give it another try, but with plain yarn, so I can really see where I'm going, because I think sometimes the speckles kind of throws you off as to where you're supposed to put your hook. But it's adorable. So you can make these. I also had to, you have the option of putting on the cuff or just leaving it as is, and I did the cuff, but the way, if I was following the directions, which I thought I was, it was flaring out. So I just decided I know how to add this is the ribbing, the single crochet ribbing that you add on at the end of not separately, but you add on at the end of your project. So I just fixed it to work for me. So these would make great little ornaments too. It didn't take too long. I think the heel really is what took me the longest trying to figure out. So maybe if I do it a second time, I'll get that heel right. So anyway, love that. The other things, I think I had shown 2 of these last time that I was working on a custom order. So this is for the newborn, and this is for the 8-year-old sister, and I believe I was working on the toddler beanie for the brother. So there's that. I just need to contact her, and this is somebody I work with who is a loyal customer. So I just need to contact her to see when she wants to meet up to pick it up. That is that. And the only other thing that I have finished, I feel like I've done not a whole lot this week, but I've been working on stuff. That's all. I don't know. Just been one of those weeks. So Lacey of Hooked on Owls has an owl pattern. She just revamped it, I guess, or updated it. And she's released the pattern for free until I think the 24th or the 23rd. So if you haven't yet, go grab a copy of that. And it was pretty much, I don't want to say it was a standard, it's her pattern, her owl pattern, but never thought to use the granny squares, the wings. So this is her pattern. And of course I had to put my twist on it. I gave it sparkly eyes because I'm using stash, and I'm using not really scraps, but just leftover yarns that I have. And Claudia, in your honor, I used your favorite yarn. Can you tell? All of this except for the white and the sparkly and the beak. This is an AC Moore dollar bin yarn. This is homespun, not homespun, wool spun. The Lion Brand yarn that was $1 on their site that's going away. Is it going away? Or is it just $1? I don't know if it's going away. This is wool spun, and then this is the one that did go away from Joann's Big Twists. They're premium, and I think I only have not a whole lot of white left, but everything else, Claudia, is your favorite yarn. So this is all here's one color, and then this is a different color. I love this one. And then there was the red, a brown, which it must be a really old one because it felt differently than the rest of them. And then this is the same as this outer one. And this is a purple color. It is purple. I think this is their grape colorway, but don't quote me on that. It's been in stash for a while. So there it is. I don't know if this is supposed to be this big, but again, I used homespun instead of regular worsted, so it's a pretty good size, and I'm definitely going to make another one. I may just make it in homespun as well, Claudia, just to use up the stash I've had there for a while, so we'll see. I may get brave and try to just make it even bigger, but for this one I actually went one row less of the increase because it was getting pretty big, and I had started it pretty late and I didn't want to keep working on it that long. So I did everything except for the eyes. No, I did most of this in one night or in a couple hours because I started it late, and then the next day I did the rest of it. But yeah, I love it. I love the sparkly eyes. For some reason, it just reminds me of outer space, like it's some alien creature. But I love that. And I may do the same for the next one that I make. But I think it's a great way to use up your stash, especially if it's yarn that you don't know what to do with. That's a good idea. That and making those octopuses. Great way to use up. But Lacey's pattern, it is free until the 23rd or 24th, so you can go grab your copy. I think I've already taken pictures, so I just need to put it on Ravelry, but I will put a link to that below. And that is all my finished items. And let me grab my notebook. Oops, I'll just bumped into the tripod. Okay, so yeah, that's all my finished items. My only whip that I have going right now, as I'm tangled, I have yet to start my Havana cowl, and I need to go to make sure that I can still access the pattern. I don't know what it is, but me and blankets are just not cooperating lately. But my other whip is just another footbridge beanie, that I'm working with, obviously Thick and Quick. And this is a colorway Coney Island that I've not used before. I had a couple in my stash. So that's the whip. And that is really my only active whip right now, which is very surprising. Active whips, floor, lots more. What else? That's it. what I'm wearing, I'm going to take off my hat, and my hair is quite messy, so be prepared. What I'm wearing is, this is the Anissa Beanie. It's another one of my patterns on Ravelry. This is done in landscape, and I have this landscape because I believe I bought it on clearance last year or early this year, or at the end of the year. Most likely from either Walmart or AC Moore, but I love the colors in here. It's just fall, which is the only thing I like about fall, the colors. And I love the way I've washed this about 2 or 3 times, and it still holds up, and it feels great. And I love the texture of, if I do say so myself, my own pattern. So that's that. And I figured I have some, I have other patterns that I have, not patterns, hats that I've made that I was going to, I was just talking to a couple of the people at my fiber group that I meet on Wednesdays, that I have a lot of hats that I've made that I was going to write the patterns, but I've been really lazy about that. And literally the minute I make it and put it on Instagram, somebody else comes out with a pattern. So I don't want to put it out there and looks like I'm copying them, but at the same time, mine was done before theirs was out there. So I don't know. Either way, this one is very, it's not showing up here, but it's very well used. This is done in, it looks like Hometown USA, but it's actually the AC Moore brand, their Heartfelt Heritage brand, which is very similar to Hometown USA. The only thing, the biggest difference, I'd say, one, the yardage is a little less in this, just slightly. But this one doesn't have the bounce that that the Hometown USA does. I think it's more rigid, more sturdy is the right word, I think, than Hometown USA. Hometown USA is a little squishier. But I will just put it on if I can find the back. Okay. Looks like a helmet because it's of the bulkiness, but I like it. I like it a lot. And I was wearing it earlier this week, but right now I get to rotate my hats a lot. So I may write this up, I may not, and if I do, I'll still depend on if I'm going to put it out there. But I only made one. And I made it for myself because I love this colorway. It's the russet colorway in that Heartfelt Heritage yarn. So I'm going to put this one back on. Oh, that way. I do. I love this colorway. AC Moore seems to have the landscape on clearance a lot. And it's usually like $3. I don't remember what it costs normally, but I like it. I have, I think, 2 or 3 skeins. I don't think it's the same colorway still in stash, so I may make something else for myself. All right, what I have, 1 second. Just trying to stay on track. Acquisitions. Acquisitions. All I have here, this is just, these were on clearance at Joann's like a month ago, I think, or in the clearance bin that I bought a month ago, and the colors just pulled me in. Again, I'm not a pink person, but this bright happy pink is making me happy. And this says, be happy, be bright, and be you. And it comes with this one here, which really drew me in. All the happy colors. So this wasn't a new acquisition, but I just found it. I just found it. The other thing that I bought, and I bought it because I am sometimes so easily influenced. I get annoyed at myself at that, but it doesn't smell as nice now, but when it first came. So on Instagram, I follow Brooklyn Boy Knits, and I'm not sure if you know him. He's a boy. Or he's a man, not a boy, but he knits. And this actor, a Broadway actor, I think, took his picture on the train while he was knitting, and she posted it, and it just went viral, and it just totally blew him up. I'm sure most of you, or a lot of you, follow him or have heard of him. But he posted these knitting needles. And for some reason, I was just intrigued by it, because I'm not really a straight needle type of person. I love my circulars. But something about these just drew me in. And these are adjustable needles. So you can literally, you have the size that you need up to, I forget what size this was. 20 inch. Yep, 20-inch rotating smooth kink-free cable. And this is solid rosewood with the self-adjusting spring activated sliding stopper. So like on your hoods of your sweatshirts, you have the slider that you adjust. You pinch it, you pull to keep it closed. That's what this is. So, and the stopper, it's really pretty. Now, mind you, it's not exactly cheap. I think this was $30 plus shipping and tax. And it was one of those impulse buys, you know, when you're waiting in line at the supermarket. And, well, I use the self-checkout now most of the time, but when you're waiting in line and you look over and you see something and you grab it, that's what this was. So I decided to get the 12mm one, since I use bulky yarn a lot. I have not tried it out yet, but this is it. And this is sold by My Two Ladies. Trying to find their mytwoladiesknitting.com. They're in New York City. This is their card. So there is a, if you look them up on YouTube, they have a demonstration video of how these work. But we'll see. Once I get to using it, I will update you on what they're like. But I thought it was a nifty idea, and I'm easily influenced. The other thing that I just got in, I just picked it up this morning, actually. The next two I just picked up. I'd mentioned where I got my tags from. So I just ordered some more. And this is from All This Wood. And they are on Etsy. They're also on Instagram as well. So those just came in. And last acquisition. I bought bags from Kalisha of Quirky Monday Podcast, Craftcast, Quirky Monday Craftcast. And she gifted me this. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? And oh, the yellow, my favorite. This is me. I love those colors. And she's got her tag on there. So, thank you, Miss Kalisha. And she also sent, sorry for all the clanking, she also gave a code for 10%. She just updated her Etsy store with the bags, and she has a code for 10% off. My first code, isn't that cool? So it's TDH, the dabbling hook, TDH 10, and you will get 10% off your purchase in her store. And that is good until the end of the month, 10/31. So I'll put that down below. I'll also put it out on the screen. But thank you, Kalisha. The bags are gorgeous. Oh, and they also came with, her bags have these ribbon, what do you call those? Armbands, but they're also removable. I always have trouble with lobster clasp. They also come out so you can use them separately or on the bags. And she also sends them with little stitch markers. The other one has one too. So thank you, ma'am. Go check her out and use the code. Support our handcrafted community. The other shout out I have is more of a thank you to Miss Kim of the Crafty Nomad. She tagged me on Instagram and the Facebook group. I think it was in either Setta's or Angelia's group. She made a couple of my footbridge beanies. I know she had shown on one of her daily videos that she had made one, but she had used the wrong needle size, so it came out small. So she made a second one, and they came out perfectly, and she tagged me in them and had wonderful things to say. So I really, really, truly appreciate it. Thank you very much, Kim. And Dorian also loved his necklace that you sent, so I will put in a picture of him with his goofy smile right here for you to see. And he also did he took my phone that day. We had gone into my mom's and they were there. And he took my phone, and like I'd mentioned before, he desperately wants his own YouTube channel. Not happening right now. But his mom's phone is just jammed full with all of his videos. So she's thinking of putting it on a channel, but making it private so just family has access to it. But he took my phone and he recorded a 1 and 47-second long video. So I may put a little bit of that in here. We'll see. But thank you again, Kim. He truly appreciated it. And I did for you sending it.
Oh, hello. It is me, Dorian. It wasn't actually recording when I see it wasn't recording. Hello, Dabblings fam. It's me, Dorian. I just wanted to thank you for this from California. This rocket ship. Yeah. Big thanks to you out there. And once again, thanks for all the liking and subscribers. This is not a yarn video. I am not at my auntie's house. Just like, I'm at my grandma's house, standing right by the window, as you can see. Oh yeah, so it's very pleasant here. Actually, it's very good because yeah, it's good because I, like doing all this stuff, and yeah, it's like
where else? Oh, the other quick shout out I was going to do is I happened to come across a newer podcast channel, and her name is Kaylee. I couldn't tell if she was saying Kayleen or Kaylee, but I went to her Ravelry page and saw her name, and so it's Kaylee. And ooh, you're gonna see Minion One come down the stairs. He doesn't know. Hey, no. Say hi to YouTube. No. They're horrible. So her channel name is Quiet Star Crafts, and she speaks very softly, very quietly. But what caught me watching her, one, it was a new channel, so I always check those out. But she designs amigurumi, and she's really good right now. Or the last one, she has other videos out, I think, on her channel. I didn't get through all of them, but she has 3 podcast type videos out. And the one that popped up was the last one, the third one, and she was doing a cat video. And I thought when I first saw it, I thought there was an Instagram I was following years ago for a while, and then for the last year or so, she went silent, and she just popped back up. And her name is Stuff the Body, and her pieces are done pretty much all in like one, and the shaping is awesome. And hers, Kaylee's, looked very similar to that, and I thought she was going to say that's where the pattern was from, but no, she's doing this all by herself. So I watched her either first or second video, and she has this dragon that she did that's pretty impressive. She doesn't have the pattern written up yet. I think she's working on it, but go give her a check out. And just see her items. They're quick videos too, so I think she has a couple of tutorials just on like stitches and stuff, and she's going to do, I think, a repertoire of amigurumi based type videos or tutorials, so check her out. And then Debbie just put out the video. She did her first tutorial. I could see her tripod leg, and that's exactly what, when I tried to do a setup, all my tripod legs were just in the way and it wasn't working. So kudos to you, Debbie. You did awesome. It was just great. Everything was done just great. So there you go. See, now you made one. You're just going to have to keep doing it now. So I'm sure you guys have all seen Debbie's tutorial. And lastly, on the channel, Z, she just put out her last video. She hadn't recorded for a couple of days. It's her birthday week, obviously. And she took herself to dinner at her favorite casino place. And let me tell you, I was watching it at 9 a.m. I was so hungry and so jealous of her. I'm not a lobster person, but just the whole spread. I was so hungry just watching her. So I hope you enjoyed yourself, ma'am. And I hope you enjoyed your birthday dinner. Even if it was all by yourself, don't mind that, because I sit all by myself all the time because it's me time. There's nothing wrong with that. So I hope you enjoyed it. All right. Want to make sure I got through everything I wanted to talk about, which I did. Oh, the last thing, I am working on another quick pattern that it's been done for a while. Well, the item's been done for a while, which is what I do. I'll make something and I forget to write it down. I think I'd shown this before. So it's going to be a cowl, because yes, I love cowls. Next to hats, I love cowls. And this one is just done in multiple colors because it's all AC Moore colorway of the same heartfelt heritage. I always say that wrong, or heritage heartfelt. But these are all their colors in the purple family. Except for this one is pewter, but these are all in the purple families. So I just added them. These were like leftovers from projects, and then I just used, I can't remember if I used the whole skein for that one. But this is half written up, so it'll be a little bit for that. That's that. On projects and fair. So the last fair I did was last Sunday past. I had said before it was in a well-off town, so I had high hopes. I'd never done a fair there or that way before, and getting there was easy enough. The setup was easy enough. One of the things, most of other vendors do tend to help you along if you need help. Usually the hubby goes with me to set up my tent, but it was too far away for him to do that. Plus, Minion 1 had a game that morning, so so I had help doing that from a couple of the other vendors. And then the day started, and right off the bat, there was just this feeling. Everyone was walking by and basically kind of the nose in the air, kind of walking by, barely like glancing over, and it was disappointing because a lot of the fairs, yeah, they start slow and you don't know if people are going to come, how's it going to go, but this one just had a feeling to it. I didn't think that anyone was going to buy. Half hour, an hour into it, 2 hours into it, 2.5 hours into it, not much was happening, and I was like, oh boy. Like people would come in, look, oh, it's beautiful, blah, 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 and then leave. People were not even like coming in. They glanced over and kept walking, almost like they were too good for you. I'm like, whatever, just deal, because you can't control what people are doing. So at this fair, it was very family oriented. So there were a lot of performances happening, a lot of food over here, there. They had like carnival type rides, some of them. And so yeah, nothing was happening on the craft front or the buying front. The crafter, her name was Betty. She was right in front of me or next to me. She has jewelry that are not cheap. It's not like a usual like you see at the fairs. Her jewelry were like $50 and up, $20, like for the earrings, for, yeah, like she had things that were $90, so they were not cheap and they were unique. She does beach stone, beach rocks, and she makes jewelry out of, she had different mediums, but that was one of them. So there were a lot of performers, like there were a couple of dance schools that the dancers were doing performances, and that went on for a good hour or so. So there was a lot going on, and there were a lot of people around. So it's not like it wasn't well attended, but it was nothing happening. And then maybe a half hour after that was starting to die down, all of a sudden, like one person came and bought something, and then they started trickling in. It felt like a whole different, what's the word I'm looking for? A different group of people. You know, the snooty ones went out, and then, you know, the people came in. And they bought, and I was helping somebody with something, and I happened to just look up, and this one woman was just standing there with 3 of my toys, and one was my big giraffe. And I'm like, oh, wasn't expecting that. And I'm like, oh, are you getting all these? She's like, yeah. In my head was like, oh, yeah, that was $125 worth of toys that she bought, and just, it kind of was like the turning point for everything. So she was genuinely happy about it, which always, you know, even if they buy one, but they're happy about it, that's always a great feeling. So she bought them. Basically, she's like, the grandkids will be happy, and she's starting her Christmas shopping early. So that went really well. And then people started coming in. I sold 2 or 3 footbridge beanies. I sold a couple of these Anissa beanies and a few headbands. I even got a custom order for this one woman who came, and she bought a headband for her daughter and for herself, and she had a friend with her, and they bought something as well. But she is doing a race for the Michael J. Fox charity, and she wanted a Fox hat. So I need to do that. I just sent her actually last night 4 examples of hats that I could make. And she chose a couple, so we have to decide on which one and all that. And I got 2 weeks to make them, so I need to hurry up. 2 kids, 2 adults. So that was great. And yeah, people started coming in, and people were actually excited about us being there. The one thing with these types of events that's festival and craft mixed in, you get the crowd that's just there for the festival, for having the kids be distracted for just that, and then they move along. And it seems like that's what the morning group of people were there for. But it turned out really, really well. Very surprising. I was very grateful. So I can't complain. Literally, I had already, after the 2.5 hours of nothing happening, I had completely written it off, and now I'll be back. So you just never know. So that went well. It's going to be another 3 weeks before my next fair. So I am trying not to make anything one-off, which is what a lot of my back stock is. Things that I made one-off that's just there. I need to stock up, which is why I'm doing a footbridge beanie. I need to make a few more of those, and a couple of the Algonquin beanies, because I did sell one of those, the small ones. Yeah, that's it. I need to do that, and I have a couple of custom orders. The turtles I'm done with, the hats I'm going to work on, the beanie and headband set I just finished, and then I have 2 more, one for someone at work, and the giraffe that I still have not started yet, which I need to do really quick. So that will be all. I will talk to you guys soon. Not that soon. Next week. Maybe next Friday. Between next Friday and next Sunday. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good one.